would call the meeting to order for Municipal Council of the District of Lunenburg on Tuesday, April the 14th. It's now 6 o'clock. Begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are privileged to share the land with them. Are there any announcements, acknowledgements, or recognition beyond the fact that Councillor Reinhardt is celebrating her birthday today? Happy birthday. It became very obvious when you got a gift of flowers, which was lovely. So we hope you can enjoy the day. Councillor Burns.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the passing of a longtime resident in West Northfield, Genevieve Gigi Turner, who passed away over the weekend. The community would not be what it is without her, and it will not be the same moving forward without her. I can say in many of our recent convos over the last few months, she would often tell me how not to worry, one day she'll be in the clouds with Harris and Jackie and Karen, and I sincerely hope that she's right about that. I found she usually was, and knows how much we and I will miss her.
She was. She watched Municipal Council very carefully, and we've all had lots of encouragement from her, as well as she'd be quick to tell you when she wasn't happy with what was going on. So we acknowledge her passing. We have regrets from Councillor DeLong. Are there other acknowledgements, recognitions that people would? Councillor Smith.
I just wanted to acknowledge Jerry Lynn Sheen Ard and Denise Ewing Moss, who organized a spring tea party at the Union Square Hall this past Sunday, and it was pretty magical. They really did the hall up in a way that you would not have recognized it, with flower arrangements and special table sittings, and they did 2 sittings, and then at each of them, women in the community were totally decked out, and I'm going to have to invest in a fascinator because they plan to make it a regular event. And it's just one of the many events at our small halls that really bring a lot of color and life and draw the community together. So I wanted to say thank you.
Anything else? Okay. We do, we'll move on to item number 3, which is public input. And this is an opportunity to us to hear from our residents. And I just would like to ask, I did do a quick count and I thought there were 3, but maybe 4 who wanted to speak. Maybe everyone that wanted to speak could raise their hand. So we have, oh gosh, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 15 minutes, so that gives you 2 minutes each. Can we work with that, folks?
I would cede my time.
Sorry?
I would cede my time.
Okay, so that's 7, so we'll give you 2.5 minutes. So we'll start with that. I'd just like to go through how we proceed with this, and then whoever wants to start can just come up to the mic. But we ask that all your statements be respectful of the other members of the gallery, as well as our councillors and staff. And we ask that you give your full name and the community that you're from, so that goes on the public record. If you have a question or concern that you would like addressed, then we ask that you provide an email so we can follow up as well, or if it's not something we can answer tonight. The chair, that would be me, will respond to questions that can be easily answered if you're posing a question. And if not, if it's something that we need to research or provide more information on, we do bring it back to another council meeting where we report on it and it becomes part of the public record. And then we provide you with that information, because we know if you've raised the question, it's likely shared by other people. So that's the way that we follow up. Statements and questions related to personnel or operations can be emailed to our Chief Administrative Officer, Tom McEwen. So with that introduction, I'll ask for the first person who'd like to come forward. Don't everyone jump. Okay. Yes, we're going to just ask you to raise this podium right there on the side.
So it's easier.
Yeah. That's good, yeah.
My name is Bill Roger. I live in Bridgewater. I work in Modal. I'm a tradesperson. I'm a carpenter, and I'm here to speak in support of the Anti-Racism, Anti-Discrimination Regional Advisory Committee because I think it's important work. As a tradesperson, I do encounter racism regularly on the job site. I work with a lot of other white people, and I have to address it. Sometimes I do the right thing and I address it and I do a good job, and sometimes I don't do such a good job. I think that speaks to the fact that this is an important committee because we're all learning. We're all learning how to be better people. We're all learning how to call out racism and be anti-discriminatory. So I do think it's really important work. I think because the conversations are happening on small job sites, it should keep going at a council level too. I think if I'm doing the work as a small-time carpenter, the people that represent me should as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Who would like to go next? Sharon?
I'm here today because I care about what's going on.
Sharon, could you just introduce your name and your civic address?
Okay. Mayor and members of council, my name is Sharon Hubley, she and her, District 7, Pine Grove. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I'm here because I care about what's going on within our community. I'm an advocate for diversity, equality, and inclusion. Systemic racism and discrimination is all around us at the highest and microscopic levels. It's in our workplaces, in our communities, in our society. To fight it, we need to make anti-racism and anti-discrimination just as common. Systemic racism and discrimination is embedded in policies, rules, and practices that create inequality. Identifying and dismantling barriers within policies, programs, and services can foster an inclusive MODL, increase representation, and challenge discriminatory practices. It's a collective effort. All of us have a role to play. We need to be champions, promote active allyship, encourage others to speak out against racist acts, challenge biases, challenge our own unconscious bias, be aware of microaggressions. Promoting equality, promoting equity and inclusion, and fighting systemic racism and discrimination in the everyday governance, challenging discriminatory practices, promoting inclusive, safe environments, having a safe way to address and to report experiences, fosters community trust, and ensures accountability. We need to take an intersectional approach, recognize the interconnected nature of oppression. Fighting racism and discrimination is essential for economic and social justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Who would like to come next? Brian?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Council, Mayor, and staff, and community members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Brian Lamoyo. I live in the community of Bridgewater, but I work and play and teach all around our beautiful South Shore, and I feel deeply connected to this community. I wanted to speak regarding the Regional Anti-Racism Committee, and I originally served on the Bridgewater Municipal Committee, the Anti-Racism Task Force. And the idea of it going back to a municipal level troubles me deeply. We worked very hard on that advisory committee to get to a regional place for advisory because, as you know, as we all live, as I live, as we all do here, we don't just stay in our borders of I live in Bridgewater, I live, I play, it's just Bridgewater. Our community's very small that way and very big in the same place if you think about it. So the importance of collaborating on a regional committee, getting input, and actually listening to what that public input is the most important thing. I see the cycle over and over again of asking people like myself and people in my community to be consistently put in places of absolute discomfort to speak to racism. And often I feel no one is really listening. So I implore you to please give the opportunity to the people who are taking all that discomfort, taking all that pain, and showing up to speak to you about it, but please actually listen to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Who would like to come next? Everyone's looking at each other. Caleb?
Just want to make sure that the other folks get a chance to speak. We're going to make sure that happens. Okay, thank you.
You may
not
want to
as-
raise that up just a little bit. You'd be
Okay.
more comfortable.
I'm not as tall as Bill.
No.
Nobody is. Okay. I'll try to keep this short. I don't have short feelings about this. So my name is Caleb Whelan. I live in East LaHave, which is Modal District 9. I have a kiddo who's back there about to turn 7 at Petite Riviere. I sit on the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee as a community member. When I joined the committee, my goal was to work against hate and cruelty, and to work against that hate and cruelty with connection and community, the connection and community required at this table tonight. I wanted to, at the very least, be able to explain to my family that while racism and discrimination exist in our community, we are working on it together. I believe that we can reduce the possibility that the people in my family and yours and everyone else who comes here shouldn't have to be subjected to racist, bigoted, discriminatory behavior anywhere they go, but especially here in this beautiful place where we live. I believe that we can make this community a place where we can navigate the discomfort and the self-reflection that's required to make this a place where everybody and everyone is welcome and feels welcome, except for maybe Donald Trump. I will also point out that it is extremely hard to ignore the intensity of anti-Black and anti-Mi'kmaq racism here in the community, racism that has existed for a very long time, and some of that racism very directly happened even just last Monday here in town. Racist and bigoted acts come from a wide variety of sources and are prevalent in our community, and I believe that you, our elected officials, are responsible to represent the people against whom this discrimination is occurring. None of this is easy, and it may seem like a lot to take on. It may seem like a municipal councilor can't take on racism. But I believe that we can do it if we do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Astrid?
Good evening. Must I'm quite nervous. I hope my heartbeat isn't louder than my voice. My name is Astrid Seidel. I live in Pleasantville. And I had shared an email with you all in which I presented my position to support the same cause in more detail. Today I'm here. I'm a new Canadian. I moved to this area a few years ago. And I spend a lot of time professionally and in my private life with other newcomers. And I just would like to share, in addition to what we've heard from other speakers here today, is that some of the experiences newcomer families and newcomer children and teenagers share with me are so shocking and heartbreaking that it is very difficult for me to even repeat what I hear from some of the families. I just would like to mention that some of our newcomers in our communities experience open, blatant racism in their daily lives. Children walk down the high streets of our communities and are called all kinds of racist slurs. So that's the reality we have in our communities, unfortunately. And I once spoke with a child who moved here from Southeast Asia, and that child shared with me that they did not want anyone in their environment outside of the family to know that they are originally from India, because, as she put it, people here hate Indians. That is just one example I wanted to share with you. I could share many more with you, but I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Astrid.
I'm also really nervous.
Can you just move the mic down a little bit so
Sure.
we can hear you? Thank you.
Can you hear me if it's like that?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
My name's Martha Farquhar McDonald. I live in West Dublin, 4624 on the 331 highway. I'm here as a community member and a parent. I do work closely with kids, and I know that racism and other forms of discrimination and hate are in our schools, as like we've heard from people who are really bringing their truth here tonight to share with you. It's a really big issue. It's one that we really need to work together on. And I did share in an email as well that, from my understanding, the like ERIDAC, the committee, is meant to be a regional advisory committee where community has real input, and listening to the people directly affected and who are in community and being guided by their priorities and their truths and their voices is the most important thing about this work. And it is hard and uncomfortable. Like, as an educator, I have worked hard, but I get it right, or I get it wrong a lot. And I have to apologize, and I have to think things through and not always be asking, what did I do wrong? But like, really work at it. And it's uncomfortable and hard, and I have a long way to go still, as we all do. So accept the work and the generosity of the people on this committee who are coming to serve our community, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Martha. Michael.
My name is Mike Mawhinney. I live at 32 Concordia Drive in beautiful Conquerall Bank. The purpose of me joining you this evening is I'm a concerned citizen about a development that's possibly going to take place in our neighborhood. And it's on Lot 4 on the William Hebb Road. It's a potential apartment complex that is being possibly proposed in the next short while, with regards to more development shortly thereafter, as it is. One of the concerns that I have, I guess, is I'm a unique lot on that street, Concordia Drive, and that when I bought that lot 2 years ago, there was an easement in place. It's a water easement. And the easement itself, I'm lucky enough to have all the groundwater and runoff water from the north side and the south side of that street run through my property. Having said that, the north side, the runoff water goes through a culvert in my driveway that basically is 80 feet from my well. So my concern is if this development proceeds, that there is no water up there other than well and septic. So I guess if a multi-unit apartment complex goes in there, then that is going to possibly have an effect on the water table, the pressure of the existing homes. There's currently 9 homes on that street. It is my understanding, I don't know for sure, that the development itself is actually for multi apartment buildings. When one is filled, another one will be built. So that is a concern to me. I just would like council to give consideration if this project proceeds, that there is some kind of guarantee or process in place that the groundwater that is a runoff off of that hill, which it is, and goes through my property, doesn't contain contaminants, as well as how does that affect the water of the 9 existing properties that are there. So I've been in this community only for a couple of years, but I've lived in this county for over 50 years. And I would like to follow this project as it proceeds. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Just to make sure that you leave your email address, because I think there's probably some issues we need to follow up with you on that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you.
The paper is right on the, where is it?
Right on the podium.
Right on the podium. Okay, thank you. Who would like to speak next? Because I think there were still some others.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan McDonald. I live in Conqueror Bank. I actually spoke this morning already in Mahone Bay, so I will shorten what I prepared, but I did send this full statement to Councillor Bell, if you would like to read it in full. So I am here to speak today as a current member of the Anti-Racism, Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee, but perhaps more strongly, I'm here as a member of this community, and I share my deep concern and disappointment at the recommendation to dissolve this committee. I think in today's particular climate of deep division, extreme views, and dangerous ideology, now more than ever, we need to be extremely clear about what is and is not acceptable in our communities. We need to be extremely clear to all members of our communities, but especially those who are targeted by racism and hate, that we as a society are working to build inclusive spaces that are safe and inviting for everyone. I think it's important to say here that community voices, lived experience, regular feedback, and accountability measures are particularly necessary to stay on track with this type of work in a meaningful way. To dissolve the ERADAC committee is an unnecessary step backwards in work that is already difficult, nuanced, and that will only build at the pace of trust. This work will not be straightforward. This work will not be comfortable. The reality is that working on anti-racism and anti-discrimination subjects will always be uncomfortable. If the work is not uncomfortable, it's very likely that you're not making progress. Discomfort means change, and that discomfort also means something is happening. So please do not turn away this group of people who are willing to do the hard work. The members of this committee, in my experience, are well aware that this work takes time, commitment, and resilience. Please understand that the message you would be sending to the public by dissolving this committee and backing away from this regional approach suggests that when this work gets hard, this council will take a step back. It sends the message that it's easier to work on difficult subjects behind closed doors. It sends the message that being held accountable by a focused and community-based group is untenable. The public deserves better than what these messages are suggesting, and your responsibility is to your constituents. It's not to the comfort of your staff, and it's certainly not to the path of least resistance. We have a lot of work to do in Lunenburg County to address racism and discrimination, as many people have shared here today, and I'm sure there's lots of examples if any of you need them. Let's do this work, and please let's do it collaboratively, and let's do it well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Megan. Are any others? No? Everyone has had a chance? I want to thank you very much for your attendance and your participation in our meeting. We will move along to the agenda, and I am recommending tonight that we move up the discussion on anti-racism and anti-discrimination and that discussion to the beginning of the meeting. So I'd ask, that will be 11.3.2 in our agenda, and I would like to see someone make that motion that we move it. Sorry? And Tom has an item to remove.
Thank you, Mayor. We'd like to remove item 7.4, which is the award of the Community Hub fit-up tender, and we'll be returning to council with that in the future.
Councillor Smith?
Sorry, I thought you needed someone to move.
I do, yeah.
To place that agenda
Okay.
item
Yep.
up.
Seconded by Councillor Burns. All those in favor of the agenda as adjusted, raise their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. We will move then to the approval of minutes from the, from our council meeting of March 24th. Are there any errors or omissions or corrections that need to be reported? Hearing none, I'll approve those minutes as circulated. And from our special council meeting of March 31st, 2026, are there any corrections needed? Seeing none, I'll approve those minutes as circulated. We don't have any business arising from the minutes, so we will move then to our discussion on 11.3.2, which is on the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Committee. And I would like, first of all, as I said earlier, I will thank the people for the input that we've received. We received letters from a number of people that were circulated to the council, and for those of you who have appeared tonight and spoken, and those who are here in support of others that have made comments. But I do, as your mayor, want to begin the discussion, and we take this very seriously, as you do, and as I said, I want to thank you for attending tonight, and for those that may be watching online. Your presence speaks to the care, concern, and commitment that exists in our community to make it more inclusive and to strengthen a sense of belonging for everyone. I also want to acknowledge that conversations like this are not easy. The discussion this evening about the future of the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Regional Committee may leave some with the impression that our municipality is unwilling to recognize or address racism, homophobia, transphobia, and other forms of discrimination and hate. I want to say clearly that is not the case. Through my conversations with members of council since we were elected, I know there is a shared understanding that while many experience kindness and inclusion in our community, others do not. There are residents who experience discrimination and exclusion, and we cannot ignore that reality or allow it to be pushed aside. At the same time, I believe it's important to be honest about where we are. While we have taken steps, including meeting provincial requirements to develop plans, our efforts to date have not been as effective as they need to be. The impact has not matched the intention, and as that is something that we must acknowledge openly. The question before us is not whether this work matters. It clearly does. The question is how we do it better. Where do we begin? Who leads? And how do we ensure accountability for real, measurable progress? Even before becoming mayor, I heard firsthand about the challenges of working across multiple municipalities on this issue. We have seen similar challenges in other areas of working together in this region. But this work is more complex and more personal. Differences in priorities, differences in understanding, and levels of commitment have made it difficult to build momentum and deliver meaningful results as a regional approach. That has placed strain on staff, on the process, and ultimately on our ability to move forward as a community. We must also acknowledge that the plan we developed was high level and created under very tight timelines. It met the requirements, but it did not provide clear, concrete direction that residents could see themselves reflected in or understand in a meaningful way. That falls short of what good government should deliver. For several years now, we have struggled with staffing, with establishing the committee, and with developing an actionable path forward. And tonight we find ourselves debating structure when we should be focused on outcomes. That tells me something needs to change. We need to take a different approach, one that is more grounded and more accountable. That may mean starting fresh, learning from what has not worked, and building something stronger. It also means taking responsibility. We have not achieved what we set out to do, and we must be willing to say that plainly. As mayor, I am prepared to take an active role in championing this work within our own municipality. That starts with what we can control, our council, our staff, and our actions as a first step. It includes ensuring council has access to the training and education needed to lead with understanding and confidence. That's the first step. We will build out from there. Moving forward, we must work with those who have a lived experience and understand what it means to not feel included. The people most affected by racism and discrimination must be part of shaping the path forward, one that acts in the spirit of reconciliation, equity, and inclusion. We will take the lessons from this experience and use them to do better. Our focus must be on tangible, measurable outcomes that create real change in people's lives. This is important work, as you have said tonight, and we recognize that. It is necessary work, and is work we must be willing to approach differently if we are to succeed in this community. I wanted to put that on the table before we begin the discussion, because the next part of what we will do is hear the staff report, which provides much more of a chronology and outline of the steps that have brought us to the discussion tonight. What I said reflects more the sentiment and the intent of what we hope to achieve with what changes we're proposing tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tom to lead us through the staff report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So included in the agenda package this evening at item 11.3.2 is the staff report, which includes the recommendation that we're making to council tonight, as well as the recommendation that came from the what I'll just refer to as the committee for the purpose of this discussion. So those are all outlined in the report, and I prepared a brief summary that I'll present to council now. So the Intermunicipal Regional Anti-Racism and Diversity Agreement, dated January 12th, 2024, was established to provide for coordinated anti-racism and diversity services through the establishment of the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Committee, which I'll refer to as the committee, and the creation of the Anti-Racism and Diversity Coordinator position, which I'll refer to as a regional coordinator. The committee and the regional coordinator were intended to work together on the provision of coordinated anti-racism and diversity services. For example, the committee is responsible to provide ongoing advice, education, information, and recommendations to the 5 municipal councils and staff on internal and external projects, initiatives, or policy via the regional coordinator. The original term of the agreement was to run from August 1st, 2023 to April 1st, 2026, but the termination date was extended to September 30th, 2026, with the extension being approved by MODL Council on September 24th, 2024. It is important to keep in mind that the committee and the regional coordinator position have always had a time-limited mandate. As per the terms of the agreement, one of the core functions of the committee is to develop and recommend to municipalities a regional action plan, which will provide regional-level guidance and the coordinated approaches and strategies on actions to be taken by the partnering municipalities. As it happened, the regional coordinator prepared and the participating councils adopted the draft Lunenburg County for Belonging Anti-Racism and Diversity Action Plan, which I'll refer to as the action plan, by the April 1st, 2025 provincial deadline. But this was done before the committee was established. Following the presentation by the regional coordinator, MODL Council's motion on March 25th, 2025, to approve the draft action plan stated, Municipal Council approved the draft Anti-Racism and Diversity Plan for submission to the Province of Nova Scotia, and further, that the final Anti-Racism and Diversity Plan will be developed and submitted to Council for approval. Although the draft action plan was prepared by the regional coordinator with guidance from the community and internal municipal engagement, the committee did not take part in the preparation of the action plan, but it was intended that the committee would conduct a review of the draft action plan, including the 50 action items, for final plan development, then submit the final plan to Council for approval. On March 11, 2025, MODL Council appointed Councillor Smith as Council's representative on the committee. The committee had its first introductory meeting in the spring of 2025 and held its second meeting on September 11, 2025. At the September 11, 2025 meeting, the committee passed a motion recommending that the committee terms of reference be amended to permit non-council members to serve as the chair. The recommendation to amend the terms of reference was approved by MODL Council at the council meeting held on October 14, 2025. The third and last meeting of the committee took place on April 1, 2026. At this meeting, following discussion, the committee passed the following motion: that the committee recommend that a regional committee structure continue in a resource and advisory capacity, with individual units creating their own anti-racism plans as mandated by the province. This motion is included in the staff report, which is part of the council agenda. In the period between the committee's first meeting in the spring of 2025 and the last meeting on April 1st, 2026, to our knowledge, the committee did not conduct any review of the draft action plan and action items as intended and stated in the draft action plan and as required by council motion, and the committee did not make any recommendations to the participating councils with respect to the draft action plan and action items. The committee has also not met its obligation to report to councils at least twice per year. With the exception of the staff report supporting the recommendation to amend the terms of reference, which was in September 2025, and the recommendation passed on April 1st, 2026, the committee has not reported to MODL Council on its activities or actions. While it's clear that the committee favors its continuation in a resource and advisory capacity, and with all due respect, it is difficult to see how the committee could achieve its key responsibilities, namely the review of the draft action plan and recommendations to council, in the 5.5 months remaining in the term, when no action was conducted on this matter during the first 10 months of its existence. The committee has not fulfilled its mandate, and with 5.5 months left in its term, it does not appear to have the capacity or the expertise to do so in the absence of the regional coordinator. As stated in my report, if council supports the recommendation to dissolve or withdraw from the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Committee, then staff would continue our focus on continuing to advance our plan, Idea at Modal, while exploring options on how MODL should approach the mandated update of the draft action plan, which is required to be completed prior to April 1st, 2028, less than 2 years from now. Any updates to either plan, Idea at Modal, or the draft action plan requires, by statute, engagement with underrepresented and underserved communities. The recommendation before council this evening does not stop or prohibit engagement with the community, but it is a recognition that the regional approach does not serve the needs of MODL. And for additional detail, I would refer council to the report where it's outlined with some of the challenges. But as stated in the report, the experience that we've had from 2 regional coordinators is that there are significant challenges with the regional approach, to the extent that the first regional coordinator indicated it in his resignation that it was unworkable, and the second regional coordinator, for different reasons, has also identified problems with the regional structure. This is not a suggestion that the work is not important. It is not a suggestion that we are going to take it all in-house and do it behind closed doors. We're not permitted to do that by the provincial legislation. This is simply the municipality looking at what's taken place since the committee was established and the agreement was entered into, and recognizing that the key function of the committee was to review the draft action plan and the 50 action items and make a recommendation to the participating councils so that we could move towards a final plan. That simply hasn't taken place. And it's challenging to see how this could take place in the absence of a regional coordinator who is on leave and in the term remaining of the committee, which is approximately 5.5 months to the end of September 2026. So it's not easy to bring this recommendation forward. It's certainly not the path of least resistance, but it is an acknowledgement that there's a problem with the committee, there's a problem with the structure, and that those issues have impacted the ability of the committee to move forward and achieve its responsibilities as outlined in the regional agreement within the timeline that the regional agreement provides.
So that's a lot of information. And what we have in our next step is a motion on the floor that we need to put on the floor, and then we'll open it for discussion at council level. So the motion that we have is 11.3.2, and when we have that on the floor, then we can discuss the action that is proposed from this. Would someone put the motion on the floor?
So there's no
Deputy-
opportunities for questions before then?
We'll have the discussion within the context of the motion.
So conversation will be limited to that motion?
It will be, yes.
Usually we get the chance to ask a few questions first.
In order to keep the discussion focused on the outcome, we're going to do, we'll do it with the motion first. We often do that. Deputy Mayor Vino?
Would you like me to put the motion on the
Yes,
floor
please.
this time? To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that Municipal Council recommend to partner units the dissolution of the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee, and I so move.
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Moore. Now, the floor is open for discussion. Councillor Smith? Councillor Oikel? Councillor Reinhardt? Councillor Moore? Okay.
I just want to share an email that I wrote on February 26th. a couple months ago. And I wasn't going to do this, but I feel like the committee has been grossly mischaracterized. Yes, we only met 3 times, actually 4 times. But it wasn't because we didn't want to. It was because of staffing issues. And I am shocked, frankly, by the lack of accountability coming from this report. And I'm just going to read the email that I wrote to the committee on February 26th.
Does it relate to the motion?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Hello, everyone. It is with deep regret that I am writing to share that I'm stepping down as the chair of ERDAC. I was honored when the committee entrusted me with this role. I felt that although we had some false starts, we were in the midst of clarifying our role, building relationships, and offering important feedback on the pillars in the plan when the work of the committee was interrupted again. While I supported a short break while staffing concerns were addressed, I feel strongly that we could be meeting to further the work I mentioned above. A committee, especially of this nature, which depends on trust and strong relationships, cannot function well with the stops and starts we've been navigating. I will continue to sit on the committee as appointed by my council, but I felt it was important to take this action to express my concern. And at that point, I stepped down, and someone else, the vice chair, became chair. And eventually, working with her administration, I don't know how it happened, but our last meeting was called. And I just want to say that the writing was on the wall with this regional approach months ago, in the fall, I would say. The writing was on the wall that the regional approach was very shaky. And I was very clear that this committee should be respected. The fact that they have stepped forward to give up their time, I think what someone mentioned in public input was the generosity of stepping forward on a difficult subject like this. And I ask that if the regional approach is going to be discontinued, that they be consulted on next steps. And that really hasn't happened in a meaningful way at our last ERDAC meeting, which took, months and months for us to get. We were really just informed of what was going to happen. And I don't think anyone expected us to bring forward a motion that we wanted to continue, that we felt we had something to offer. But we did that. And I'm just asking, let us finish out the next months until the end of September. And yes, we're not going to be able to do that work around the regional plan. But there are other things that we could do as a committee. People really want to contribute here. And I appreciate the need for a fresh start, but there is no fresh start here. The work has been ongoing for a very long time, and the mistakes are piling up. And I don't feel like there's a lot of accountability and a lot of, I really appreciate what the mayor has said about being open and speaking plainly about what has gone wrong. And I think we need to be bringing that forward. And I think that the committee should also be, entrusted with the conversation about what comes next. To offer some options. This report that we have before us today offers no options. It's like this or I don't know what. There's no options. And the regional, there's committees all over the province doing this work. It's structured in different ways all over the province. We should be taking a look at that and looking at what works in other places, what might work here. And I really don't think we have to throw out the regional committee at this point, along with the regional plan. I've seen in other places where there is a regional committee, but each member of that committee has their own plan. I actually think that's a sensible approach. But I'm just asking, you know, allow the committee to continue until the end of September. People are offering their time, their enthusiasm, and yeah, I think that we owe the committee that respect, seeing as we all voted to appoint those people to that committee.
Councillor Oikel.
Thank you. So some of the points that Councillor Smith brought up, I was just wondering what is, you kind of sort of mentioned the plan of what to do if we do choose as a council to step away from the committee. So I was just wondering if you could clarify that a little bit more, Tom?
Sure, thank you for the question. So the first thing we would do is continue with we do have a plan. It's called IDEA and Modal. It actually existed prior to the draft action plan that the committee prepared. And it was, it's set up so that it is very much in line with the action plans of other municipalities, if you do a scan of the municipalities. So we would continue with our efforts that are already undergoing, and then we would explore possible options on how MODL should approach the mandated update of the plans. So the draft plan has never been finalized, so it's still in a draft form. The province requires that all plans be updated by April 1st, 2028. So we have a little less than 2 years to create a method of updating that plan and all of the decisions that are required around it and how to make that happen. We don't have to take till April 1st, 2028, but it has to be done by April 1st, 2028. So the next step, depending on what council decides here, if council decides to either recommend the dissolution or withdraw, then we would have a future discussion with council to get a sense of how council wants to move forward. And that would then inform staff's next steps on what council wants to do. There's no requirement. The province has moved away from the requirement for a standalone committee. You're able to do it by a working group. You can form a committee. You can make it part of your strategic plan. You can roll it into the accessibility plan. So there's different options to explore. So we would take the opportunity to look at what options are available and then have a discussion with council on what makes the most sense for MODL and how can we move that forward. As one of the speakers indicated, that the town of Bridgewater had its own committee for a while and then moved to the regional committee. We've never had our own committee. We've always relied upon the regional committee, and the regional committee was tasked with not only creating the draft action plan, but finalizing that draft action plan. We can pick up the draft action plan and have council identify which of the 50 action items are the priority for this council, and then design a way to move it forward with community engagement, because the community engagement is a requirement by the province. It's not something that we can avoid. We have to do it. There's just different options on how to do it than previously existed. So the reason that the options report isn't included is because that's the next step, depending on what happens here with council. But even if council decides to continue with the committee, if it doesn't review and make recommendations to finalize the action plan, we still have to come up with how we're going to do it, because the regional committee and the regional agreement ends at the end of September 2026.
Follow up, if I may? Okay. So many of the residents, most of them spoke referring to racism and discrimination, which we all know within our community, and their big concern about the attitude within our community. Does IDEA cover that, or is IDEA mostly towards our policies within house and that? Like, I was just, wanting to make sure that, because I do agree with their comments regarding racism and discrimination within our community. And I'd like to make sure that that gets addressed.
So the idea at Modal is included in your package. It's at the end of my report, the 2024 to 2028 strategy. It's a 4-year strategy. It's broken down to a number of sections. But the act and that plan direct us to focus on municipal policies, municipal programs, and municipal services to ensure that, to the extent that we can, we remove any systemic bias or racism within the things that we can control. There's reference to certain elements in the community, but the idea at Modal Plan is more focused internally. The future work would be staff looking at what options are available, what's working elsewhere, on how to address issues in the community, which is much more challenging. And it's going to take some thought on how to achieve that.
Thank you. I just want you to say all that because I already read it, but I want you to say it. Thank you.
Councillor Reinhardt.
Thank you. I don't support the motion to dissolve ERDAC or withdraw from the committee. What this comes down to is the regional structure, which has come up several times. Everyone has expressed that, we know this is important, we know this is an issue, we want to do the work, but the regional approach is not the way to do it. I don't think we've given the committee a fair chance to see if it is or isn't working. Have there been some issues? Yes, and those are noted in the report. A lot of those seem to be staffing related, which I don't think is justification for dissolving the entire committee. I think it's a valuable resource for collaboration and community representation. I don't want to lose some of the really amazing voices that we have on that committee. And I think they've given us a clear path forward, that they're willing to act as in an advisory capacity, and they're willing to look at the scope of the committee, and that could be altered if it's not working exactly as it should be. And just finally, to address the importance of the plan, the action plan, and having to come up with a plan to review that and move forward with that. I really think that I personally would like to hear what the committee has to say about that. So I would like to give them till the end of the contract to see what they can contribute to the conversation.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know I was next. I have been on council for 22 years, and I've sat on a lot of regional committees. Some of them worked, and a lot of them did not. And you could tell when they did not, and this committee is not working. I feel that in my bones. I am adamant that we still continue because diversity and inclusion is so very important, so very important. And I think the name itself, anti-racism and anti-discrimination, already puts a division right down through the middle that people think, honestly, I think they think they're only dealing with black and white when they see this, when they see anti-racist. A lot of people don't realize that it's for everybody. It's for transgenders, it's about anybody that, that faces this kind of stuff. So I was honored today to speak with one of your members, Vernon Sims. He is a constituent of mine. He has done a lot of training. I spoke with him in person. He has done a lot of training at Michelin Plants on inclusion. And he, he, of course, wants the committee to stay. After our conversation, well, I told him about, you know, I can tell that this committee is not working and that I want to keep a committee going. And of course, the name change he agreed with, because diversity and inclusion should actually be in the name. So IDEA makes good sense. And then I told him that, you know, I want to see us move forward on all of this in a different way. And then we can also have people apply, have him back on our committee eventually once we find out what our committee looks like, have people from the public apply and be on our committee, and we can move forward. But right now, I can't see us moving forward.
That is the number I have on my list so far. Are there other people wishing to speak from the council? Anyone else? Councillor Brooks.
I guess this is just a question to maybe the CAO. Can the folks who've come here today feel any sort of confidence if the concerned members, A, take some of this coalition that's been together, continues to strengthen that coalition, and becomes some of the working group that interfaces with us? Is there a fear that if we don't try to do this work, that it will not get done at all?
It's a challenging question. We're mandated to do this work. It's a requirement by the province that these plans be created. The province didn't undertake a review of any of the plans that were submitted. They just accepted the plans that were submitted and generally just assumed that they met the provincial mandated requirements, with the mandated update of those committees to take place by April 1st, 2028. The province has shifted from when this was first introduced to much less prescriptive. So they went from a committee with a plan to don't need a committee, and your plan can be part of a strategic plan, or you can roll it into your accessibility plan, which is required as well. So it's government mandated, but with very little government oversight and very little instruction to municipalities on how they are to achieve the stated goals of the legislation, because it's not a core service that we provide. We're much more capable and able to have reviews done of our policies, programs, services, because that's what we do every day. It's much more challenging to figure out how you impact community and how you address these issues in community. And that is still where the challenge will be, how to find how you address that issue in the best way for this municipality. Some units have joined together and done it in partnership. I don't believe that any other region of 5 municipal units has tried to do this. We tried to build on the success that we saw in the accessibility committee with the accessibility coordinator. The primary difference is where the Accessibility Act and the standards that the province releases, like the built environment standards, are very prescriptive. It's very clear what we have to do and when we have to do it. Not so with the dismantling hate legislation. They want plans in place, but they're not providing a lot of oversight, input, or guidance on how we act to move them forward. So we're in a position where we must do something, and we must do it within the four corners of the legislation. But beyond that, the municipalities are able to have a lot of, they can make their own plans in the way that they see fit.
Other questions, comments? Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. After hearing you speak tonight and our CAO speak tonight, the way I see it personally is that it's not about stepping away from the work, which unfortunately seems to be how it's being portrayed on social media, but rather how that work is being done. There's been some clear challenges and breakdowns within the current regional structure, and it's our responsibility to consider whether a different approach may better serve our communities moving forward and answering to our residents.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Councillor Smith, I want to make sure everybody has one chance to speak first. Councillor Bell. And
thank you, Madam Chair. At no time did anyone say that this work was unimportant. And as the former committee chair said here this evening, it was identified that maybe the writing was on the wall. So maybe there was some doubt within the committee itself on how the work was progressing. This comes back to making a political decision or a business decision. I like to make business decisions. No one suggested that we give up the important work that this committee had started. I too noted that the name anti-racism, anti-discrimination should probably be considered Committee for Inclusion and Diversity. It seems like a politer way to progress and do the work that needs to be done. In the past, we have had regional economic development committees that did not work. We dissolved them. In the past, we have had challenging work with the regional REMO because different municipal units think differently, have different ways of wanting to do anything, and sometimes their smaller financial input means that if the committee works or it does not provide the biggest emphasis on their finished product. In the past, we have changed to doing the important work that shows results because we took, as the farming community says, we took the bull by the horns and wrestled the product till we got what we needed. Sometimes going alone provides the best results. We did that with the Coastal Protection Plan on our own. We took a different process and we became a leader in the province because what we did is being used as a template in other municipal jurisdictions. We have proven that we can do this. I would like to see us do the majority of this work ourselves. I would encourage members of the existing committee to come on board and advise us on the best way to proceed. What are the important things that we may miss? And together, I think we can do a better project. So I am going to support the motion that's on the floor, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see us continue this work. The fees that we pay, if we can get good results, I'll even increase the funding if that's what it takes to get a finished product. But I don't like depending on 4 or 5 other partners for who may or may not have the same interest in moving this forward as what we do. Thank you.
anyone else wants the first chance to speak? Because then we're going back. Councillor Smith?
I just have a question about kind of taking account of what's happened here. And I keep hearing that the committee is not working, the committee didn't work. As I've said, I think that kind of mischaracterizes the situation when we weren't even able to meet. So I am wondering, how are we going to take account of what happened? Is there going to be any follow-up report on ERADAC besides what's in this document? Because I'm asking because, you know, as was mentioned in public input, you know, there was this push in 2023 to get the regional table. And now we're saying, oh, the regional table doesn't work. We're going back to individual municipal units. Well, in 2023, individual municipal units were saying this doesn't work inside individual unit boundaries. So, like, at what point are we going to start making a record and keeping an account of all the tries and what went wrong? Because, you know, once in a while I catch something from a conversation, and I've actually sought out conversations with people who were on the Bridgewater Committee and the Lunenburg Committee to see why they wanted a regional approach. But I don't feel like those things are getting captured anywhere. And if we're gonna shift again, I wanna see those learnings brought forward and some real, like, accountability. Because tonight, I feel like, you know, things are being blamed on the committee that we had no control over. So how are we going to actually say who had control over those things and why didn't they happen? I'll leave it there, but accountability is really important, so we don't just keep repeating the same mistakes.
Councillor, Councillor Hubley.
Thank you. So I'm sitting around the table and I'm taking it all in. What I'm very disappointed in is what has happened on social media and how the information.
Could you just speak to the motion, please?
Okay. I'm going to support the motion, and moving the work internally, I think, is very important.
I just want to, is there anyone else to speak? Councillor Burns.
Thank you. I should. I'm fearful of better to be thought a fool than open your mouth and prove otherwise, but I'm the only one who hasn't spoken tonight, and it wouldn't be fair for me to duck the conversation. What I'm mainly concerned about here is the loss in our ability to work within the public due to the perception of what the dissolution of the committee means, as much as I am concerned about our ability to move forward. There's a lot of regional structures we have that come election time are a beautiful painting, but in between those colors run and smudge, and we see it in different aspects of how we wish to work with other partner units. I know that many around the table know many layers to this conversation as when it comes to resources and staffing and issues that have arisen. I think we've largely arrived at the nature and intensity of this discussion as much as a way that we work together as much as the topic itself. And I don't know how else to frame that, but I think that tonight, regardless of this vote, we should all, I think regardless of this vote, we should all feel a little disappointment in how the framing has done damage to the conversation rather than not. And so I am going to vote to continue the committee pursuant to its current terms, because I think that dissolving it creates a perception that in politics, perception is reality, and that is more damaging than the existence of the committee and the duplication of resources that we will need as an institution to move forward with what we should be moving forward with.
Anyone else? Just to follow up, and this will be the concluding comments. I think we will move to a vote, but I think there is an accountability needed to Councillor Smith's point. And I think that's part of the learning of what our next steps will be as a municipality, should we choose to dissolve the committee and step out of the regional approach. We need to learn from the mistakes that have been made, and clearly there have been, I would say, a number of missteps along the way, and it is really difficult to work with an institution like a municipal government and then take that work of addressing something as complex as inclusion and diversity and translate that into how the municipality interfaces with the broader community. I don't think anyone in this room tonight is denying that there is not serious issues in our community. We all agree on that. And no one is saying that this can be solved by government alone. We are mandated to do things by our provincial government. But that doesn't stop the broader community from the work that goes on and that should go on and that needs to go on by community volunteers like the people that are sitting with us tonight. So I don't pretend to have the answers tonight for what the next steps are. I mean, we're in detail about what they are, but there is a role for all of us to work on this. We have different frameworks to work within. Ours is probably more prescribed than what the broader community is, because nothing is to say that the people that are sitting in this room aren't going to continue their work in dealing with inclusion issues, because I know many of you are already involved in lots of those activities in our community. But for us, we have a prescribed, somewhat prescribed mandate that we will follow, and we will try to build into that and look at how we build in that community piece with it. And I've made that commitment as the mayor and as the leader for this group, and I think there's a general, I feel a general sentiment that we will commit to this work. And what the next steps are, I'm not in a position to say what that is. But we will make the commitment to continue the work, and we will take the steps necessary to figure out how we can interface effectively in the broader community work that will continue to go on. And I think our other municipal units, as they deal with this issue, are going to struggle in the same way we are, and will also look to the community to figure out how we manage through that. But right at this point, it is important for us to take the internal steps, and it isn't from hiding. It is not from hiding. It's what's manageable within our system. And for us as council to become confident and knowledgeable about what we can do and help to do in the broader community. So with that, I will call for the question. The motion is on the floor that Municipal Council recommend to partner units the dissolution of the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Those opposed? Councillor Reinhardt, Burns, and Smith. The motion is carried. We need to do the second part, yep. So because there are decisions being made at other municipalities and we are part of an intermunicipal agreement, we do need the second motion to consider. And if I could have someone put that on the floor, please.
I'm to Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council recommend that if a majority of the participating councils do not support the dissolution of the Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee, then Modal Council give notice of its withdrawal with an effective date of May the 1st, 2026. And I so move.
And a seconder for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Hubley. Is there discussion on the motion? Councillor Oikel.
If they don't and it would be effective May the 1st. Is there a possibility for that council, that committee to meet and have kind of a brainstorm for themselves as to possible next steps that they can recommend within that time frame to their partner, to municipal council? Is that something that would be allowed to be done for that committee to meet?
So for the committee to meet, it has to follow the same rules of all committees and council. So notice of meeting, and then there'd have to be staff assigned to assist the committee. The challenge
Which they don't have right now.
The challenge has been that the designated staffing position is filled, but the employee is on leave. And so part of the challenge is to find alternate staff from other units who would be able to assist the committee in organizing a meeting. Now, my understanding is that all municipal units are going to be reviewing this issue over the next few weeks. Mahone Bay has already done it. Their council passed a motion to continue. But Mahone Bay is one of 5, so there's 3 others that still have to make a decision. If they all decide, or if a majority decides to dissolve, then the committee will dissolve. If they don't decide to dissolve but to remain, the committee will remain, possibly without MODL. So it's challenging. It would be challenging to get a committee meeting by that time, but maybe not impossible.
Discussion on the motion? Further question? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion, those opposed? Council Reinhardt, Burns, and Smith are in opposition. Motion is carried. We'll take about a 5-minute break and then resume our agenda. We'll resume our meeting and start with the awarding of tenders and RFPs. The award of RFP on sludge removal. Who is speaking to that? Tyler. Thank you. Mr. Richardson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Tyler Richardson, Municipal Engineer here at MODL, and I will be speaking to the award of tender 2025-01005 sludge removal wastewater treatment facilities. The municipality owns and operates 3 wastewater treatment facilities, that being Cookville, Conqueror Bank, and New Germany. As part of regular maintenance and operation, various tanks within the treatment plants need sludge removed on a regular basis. The tender was issued on March 4th, 2026, and closed on March 18th, 2026 at 2 p.m. local time. 4 bids were received by the tender deadline. These were from Winchester Disposal Service, Dalton Jodrey Plumbing and Heating Limited, GFL Environmental Services, and Loomers Pumping Service Limited. Allowance for the cost of this tender has been included in the operating budget for each facility. The previous awarded tender included a 3-year estimated total cost of $180,497.91, compared to this tender with an estimated 3-year total of $130,917.60 for the work. This difference, $49,580.31, represents a 27% decrease in cost from the previous tender. And our recommendation is that council authorize staff to award tender 2025-01005 sludge removal wastewater treatment facilities to Winchester Disposal Service Limited in the estimated amount of $130,917.60, excluding HST, for a 3-year term.
Could we have the motion put on the floor and then we can have questions related to it, please? Councillor Brooks.
To Mayor McLean, Weil, and members of council, I move that Municipal Council award tender 2025-01005 sludge removal wastewater treatment facilities for a 3-year term to Winchester Disposal Service Limited in the estimated amount of $130,917.60, excluding HST.
And a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Burns. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Brooks and then Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you for the report. Can you tell me where Winchester Disposal Services is located?
I believe they have a presence in the municipality, but I believe their main office may be in Liverpool area.
Okay. Can I just ask a follow-up? A constituent asked me this, so I wanted to put it forward. When we're weighting contracts, do we give any other additional weight when a company is in our municipality as opposed to just straight up cost? Do we reflect that it might be employment in our community as well?
I believe there's a weighting for it. Typically they're through the low bid. I don't know if there would have been enough consideration for that to offset that cost difference.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Just Alex, maybe just provide more background on that.
Yes, the purchasing policy has a local, a buy local preference. It applies to Lunenburg County, but because of trade agreements, there's a limit. So as Mr. Richardson references, for them low bid or low value, the threshold in our current policy is 25,000 or 50,000.
25. Tom said 25.
We will pull that. It's very easy to find. We'll find you what that threshold is, but above that threshold, trade agreements prohibit us from applying that local preference.
Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. The contractor that is being recommended is severely lower than the highest. I was kind of shocked at the difference. Can you speak to that? Do you have any reason why there was such a large difference? And who was our previous contractor for these services?
The previous tender was awarded to Dalton Jodrey's, who also bid. We have worked with this contractor previously through the Straight Pipe program. I can't question as to why they would bid such a disparity. There was quite a range in the tender values. Confirming with the contractor, they feel confident they can complete the work. So it's their bid.
I guess we shouldn't argue with it then. A resident had asked me if it was the same level of service, but
all of these are based on the same level then?
It's the same scope as work as previously, yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Burns?
Thank you. My question was just for understanding, and since we should turn every item tonight into a long conversation. What happens if they can't do it for the price that they've tendered? Is this a backdoor into cost overruns, or would we end up with just like a short-term no provider and go back to tender?
I might jump in and help there. So the firm that's low bid currently holds a contract with the municipality, so they are providing the service for our annual maintenance for the LaHave septic system that we're required to provide that maintenance for the first 7 years after we constructed those systems. So they are meeting the terms of that contract, so we are not.
Sorry, I wasn't clear enough. What happens if they can't do it for that price? They come back and say, we can't do it for this price. Is the bad outcome that they just?
The bid that they've made, they're held to.
Okay.
It's a legal contract.
Yes.
So they submit a bid into our purchasing process.
There's no ability for that to turn into cost increases throughout the contract, is my question? No.
So the short answer is no.
Okay, that's good. That's all I need. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, other questions on that? All those in favor of accepting adopting the motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to wheelchair for parasport. Ms. Bolivar.
Thank you. So I am here to seek approval to award RFQ 2025-05301 wheelchairs for parasport to Harding Medical in the amount of $29,700 plus HST. So we put out an RFQ on March the 3rd and it closed on March the 24th. And it was to supply and deliver 6 parasport wheelchairs for our parasport programming. 3 quotations were received and reviewed, and only 2 of them met the outlined requirements within the RFQ. So we had one from Harding Medical for $29,700 plus HST, and delivery was included in that price. And then we had another one from Quebec Inc. EMRN for $42,206.58 plus HST, plus a delivery fee of $3,510.66. So funding was received through Sport Nova Scotia through an EDIA grant to cover the cost of the entirety of this program, up to $39,666 for the 6 wheelchairs. It wasn't a budgeted expense, but I was to council on February 24th seeking approval to purchase them with the funding by Sport Nova Scotia. So there's a motion in there where that was approved. So it's our recommendation that Harding Medical would be awarded this RFQ. They are local they have a branch in HRM. They were the ones who supplied our previous wheelchairs in 2024, and they've provided good customer service so far.
Someone put,
Yep, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Someone put the motion on the floor, please. Deputy Mayor Vino.
To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that Municipal Council award RFQ 2025-05-301 wheelchairs for parasport for 6 wheelchairs to Harding Medical in the amount of $29,700 plus HST, and I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Bell. Is there discussion, questions on the Councillor Brooks?
Thank you. Did you say that the grant that you guys had was up to 39,000?
Correct.
So what will happen with that, the remainder of the unspent?
I am going to purchase a few extra wheels, tires. We need to replace a few of them, but then anything that remains would just stay with Sport Nova Scotia, so we wouldn't receive it.
Is there any value in us looking at buying more chairs?
There's not enough.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Great, thank you.
For one full chair.
Thank you.
Other questions? All those Councillor Smith.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about programming
Sure.
using this equipment. And I know that, well, actually, I I'm not sure exactly what these wheelchairs will be used for. There's been some wheelchair basketball in New Germany. Is that with these kinds of chairs?
Yeah, so these chairs have been primarily used for wheelchair basketball programming. They can be used for other wheelchair sports such as wheelchair tennis, wheelchair pickleball. Those would be the primary ones that this type of chair would be used for, but we've only done programming for basketball because that's what staff have experience and training in. So we do each season, so spring, summer, fall, we do a 4 to 5 week ongoing session in Lunenburg at the Lunenburg Community Center in partnership with the town there. So we use their space. And then we do pop-up programs. So we've done some in New Germany. We've done some at the French school. We have 6 of our own chairs. We did have 6 on loan from Sport Nova Scotia, so it gave us a set of 12. Unfortunately, Sport Nova Scotia just took back their 6 that they had on loan because someone else needed to borrow them, but we've had them for almost 2 years, so we'll let other people use them now. So unfortunately, we had to cancel our spring programming in this transition time with waiting to get these new ones awarded and where we had to give the other ones back. So we are looking to postpone that program to start in probably June, but then we'll do more programming in the summer.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Waters. Door system and security in the hub.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. Another piece of the puzzle for the community hub, the social public library space, and the business hub is the door system and security system for the building. For our portion of the building, we did receive 2 quotes. One was Atlantic Alarms and one was Johnson Controls. The 2 quotes are on the table attached. You will note that Johnson Controls was a cheaper option, although staff is recommending moving forward with Atlantic Alarms. The system that Atlantic Alarms is proposing is the same system that we have in here, and it makes a compatible, seamless solution for us. So we have the same system here as we do in the other building. Should council or staff wish to go to either building, they have the same fob system, so they'll be able to get in and out of the building should they have meetings and such in either one of the 2 spaces. I did reach out to Municipal Joint Services ID department because they're helping me with IT items in the community hub and asked them for their feedback. Their feedback was the same. I did quote their feedback on page 2. It basically says that the Cantex system is the same software and would make compatibility much easier. It's the same system used in the LCLC, the town of Bridgewater, and our municipal office. So it'd be easier for management, troubleshooting, and access. And should we want to integrate, it would be a cheaper solution down the road. You will see the prices are unfortunately a little bit different. Atlantic Alarms is $52,497.55. Johnson Controls is $42,276. In order to facilitate Atlantic Alarms, we are using Article 19.1.5 Policy 033, Purchasing Tendering Policy, where it permits work to be performed that it ensures compatibility with the existing products. So again, compatibility with the system that we have here. As indicated, the door system does fit within the budget that we had proposed for the overall build, so we're still in line from a budget perspective. There is an alternative, of course. Council can choose to go forward with Johnson Controls. If council chooses Johnson Controls, they are under the Kinetic GPO service that we have, which allows us to use that as well. But staff is recommending moving ahead with Atlantic Alarms.
Someone put the motion on the floor and then we can have discussion. Councillor Hubley?
Thank you to Mayor McLean Weil and members of council. I move that municipal council approve the use of alternate procurement as per section 19 of policy 033, purchasing and tendering, to award the door system and security system equipment contract for the community and business hub to Atlantic Alarm and Sound in the amount of $52,497.55, excluding HST. And I so move.
And a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Burns. Discussion on the motion. Oh, Councillor Oikel.
Yes, thank you. To Dave, through you. So this security will only be in the part of the building that we're using, or that we are renting, correct?
Yes and no.
Okay, yeah, because I'm wondering, because some people will, like, for example, MJSB will be upstairs and they're a renter, but there are also other renters. Will they be contributing to the cost of this alarm?
No, they will not be contributing to the cost of the alarm. The alarm in itself is just for our section, so our 13.5, again, all the things in the community hub, the programming space, and the business hub. The reason why I said yes and no is we have proposed to the building owner that the system that we are proposing, because we seem to be ahead of the building owner, that they use the same system. Because in our lease contract with the building owner, we have 7/24 access. So if we put Johnson Control, or Atlantic Alarms in our section, and they put something else in the front door, then we're going to need 2 fobs. So what we proposed was, we are proposing Atlantic Alarms. We propose that you use Atlantic Alarms as well, so we can integrate their system with our system and make it seamless. We had a meeting with them again Monday. They seem to be quite in line with that, again, because we seem to be a little bit ahead of them and they don't seem to have an objection with that. So it may be the same system, but we are not paying for their component of it.
That's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Thank you. Is that standard practice for us, that we would pay for the alarm system of a place that we're renting? Has that ever happened before?
Well, this whole project is a little bit different than we certainly have done in the past, but it is our fit up and our components. So we have to pay for our own security system and our own door system. The building owner in the contract that take security as take the door system as an example. They're obligated to give us keys. Recognizing the complexity of the building with multiple users and night users and day users and stuff, to tell the library to simply hand out keys to people when they want to, it was just not practical. So we investigated what is the best option that we could do to make it seamless. The system we have here does have a key fob system, but it also has a punch code system. So if somebody wants to rent out the event space on a Friday night, they can contact the library and the library can give them a code and they can go in and punch in the code. And once they leave, the code's no longer valid any longer. So we don't have multiple keys floating around the place. So that's the reason we went that way. The building owner is only obligated to provide us a secure space, and their version was, here's 2 keys for each door. And we said, no, that's just not going to work.
Just to follow up out of question, then, do we carry our own insurance separately then, or is that covered by the building owner?
The question for Tom.
Yeah, we carry our own insurance.
Any other questions? All those in favor of accepting the motion as proposed, signify by raising your hand. Motion is carried unanimously. We'll move on to, there are no presentations, no considerations of correspondence, recommendations from committees, and that's Finance Committee, and it's cost share on the J-Class Road paving of Darby's Head Road. Is anyone, Ms. Wenzel, are you? This is a referral, for anyone who's listening, this is a referral from our Finance Committee meeting last week, and this is cost sharing on a little piece of road, which we're happy to have done.
Yes, thank you, Mayor McLean-Weil. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So yes, this is a partnership program, whereas the municipality has a list of roads it's submitted to the province Department of Public Works to pave when those roads came up on their own work plan. And so Darby's Head Road was on a list that we had submitted to the Public Works Department a year ago. And this road came up, and so they put in an offer that if we wanted to cost share on making this a paved road, that municipal council could do so, and I believe they're looking for a contribution of $100,000 for us to make that contribution and get that little stretch of road paved.
Okay, would someone put the motion on the floor, please? Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee and accept the cost-sharing opportunity for J-class roads as presented by Nova Scotia Department of Public Works for the paving of Darby's Head Road in the amount of $100,000, and further direct the mayor to execute the notice of acceptance, and I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Bell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Ms. Wenzel. I guess the only thing that I'm wondering is what is our annual maintenance for that road, for that J-class road? Do we have any budget for doing any work on that? Nothing at all?
I could, through to the mayor, no, that J-class road section is not our responsibility, but it was part of a municipal services exchange agreement many years ago, that if the municipalities wanted to get those roads paved, those sections of roads, which I think were identified through that service exchange, those exact roads, then as they came up on the work plan, we could opt to have them paved. So
okay, thank you.
It's
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
The ongoing maintenance is provincial.
Yes, we are required to pay a per kilometer rate for the number of roads that were assigned to us, but the province is adamant that's not us paying for maintenance, and we have no ability to direct them to do any kind of maintenance on that road. It's just a artifact of the service exchange from the mid-90s.
Okay, let's move along then. Audit Committee, do you want to? Oh, sorry. Yes. All those in favor signify by raising your hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Yes. Deputy Mayor Vino, I know you want that road paved. Audit Committee. Ms. Wenzel, do you want to introduce this?
Certainly, if it pleases the mayor and council. So the audit committee met last week and had a discussion regarding the 2023-2024 financial condition indicators that were released by the province. And it's my understanding that these are a bit late since we are now in 2026. And at the time, the committee thought it might be prudent to recommend to the province that perhaps these indicators could be released earlier so that they may be more useful to councils.
And we have a motion to convey, if someone would put that on the floor. Councillor Brooks, thank you.
To council and Mayor McLean, while I move that the municipal council accept the recommendation of the audit committee and authorize the mayor to write to the Honorable John A. MacDonald, Minister responsible for the Department of Municipal Affairs, asking that the annual FCI reporting timeline from the province be accelerated so that the data can be utilized by municipalities.
And a seconder, seconded by Councillor Hubley. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to a report from the nominating committee, which is on the 2026 provincial volunteer nominee. Councillor Smith, are you speaking to this as a member of the nominating committee?
Sure. Well, I'm happy to say that we had great applications, and I'm just going to name the person that we chose as the nominee. So our 2026 provincial volunteer nominee is Mike Wilson. Mike Wilson Mike Wilson is a dedicated community volunteer whose leadership and service have made a lasting impact both locally and provincially. He devotes countless hours to organizing and growing meaningful initiatives such as the IWK Toy Drive and the Poppy Campaign, consistently going above and beyond to support those in need. Through his efforts, he brings together businesses, schools, and community members, fostering a strong culture of generosity and collaboration. His work supports vulnerable populations, honors veterans, and strengthens the fabric of community. Leading with humility, he inspires others to give back and sets a powerful example of selfless service. And I will just say that one thing that really stood out with the application was just how supportive the community was and the amazing letters that people sent along with this application.
Do you want to propose the motion? Or Councillor Oikel, as chairman of the committee, do you want to bring the motion forward?
Well, actually, we were going to have Allison continue with the motion since she spoke about it.
Okay. To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the nominating committee and approve the nomination of Mike Wilson of New Germany as the 2026 provincial volunteer representative for the municipality of the District of Lunenburg.
And a seconder for the motion, seconded by Councillor Moore. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Mike is a teacher at New Germany High School and does so much for the community. He actually does not live in New Germany. He actually lives in Wenzel's Lake. So I just want to clarify that because you never know, there might be a Mike Wilson in New Germany. I don't know. Okay. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. We will move on our agenda to planning and development. Ms. Young.
It's not on.
That's okay. Is it on? Oh, I can hear. Okay. Good. Yes. Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Rosemary Young, and I am a Planner 1 with the District of Lunenburg. We are asking Council tonight to initiate the process to review amendments to the Osprey Village Secondary Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw. Through the process, we would be looking to redesignate and rezone PID number 606-31009, a municipally owned parcel of land which is located behind the developing Welltide Center. The parcel is currently zoned for high-density residential. However, it is no longer set to receive central services, which is a requirement of the zone. As a result, a rezoning would allow for unserviced commercial and/or residential development and protect existing open space on the property. The process would involve holding a public information session proposed for April 22nd and preparing a report for the Planning Advisory Committee to summarize the proposed changes and the public input received at the public information session.
Okay, could we have the motion put on the floor and then we'll have any questions or discussion related to that? Someone like to propose the motion? Councillor Burns.
To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council direct staff to hold a public information session and further direct the Planning and Advisory Committee to review the proposed amendments to the Osprey Village Secondary Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw.
And a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Hubley. Questions or discussion on the motion? Councillor Oikel.
It's not on the motion, but it's on the report. It's on the discussion part. Can I say?
Yep.
It's just that it says that the cost for changing it from the 500 additional rental units that was projected by Mono for putting in wastewater and sewer could be towards creating of an upward of 5,000 additional residential units in Hebbville and Dayspring. That's correct? But it doesn't say, just that when I read it, I was like I know this, but it's over time, right? It's not like within the next 5 years. The 5,000 units are going to go there. I just wanted to make sure that anyone who read that would understand that that was over time, a long time period, not tomorrow. Just making sure.
That's correct.
Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Brooke.
Just to Councillor Oikel's point, I think it would be helpful sometimes for constituents if we had just some idea of the rollout of those numbers. And I know you guys can't be specific and none can be held to that, but even if we had a general communication point for the community, that would be helpful. Thank you.
I think it just reflects councillors' concerns about residents getting very concerned about lots of development in a very quick amount of time. So I think you got the message. So, any discussion on the motion further to that? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. The next point is Recreation, Parks, and Tourism, and Ms. Bolivar is going to carry the ball on this one.
Yes, just pretend I'm Trudy for today. So we're looking for municipal council to approve establishing a designated community project fund pursuant to policy MDL 48 for the Lunenburg Yacht Club to assist them in fundraising capital funds to purchase boats that will enhance their Learn to Sail program. So the Lunenburg Yacht Club has made application under policy MDL 48, which is our designated community fund, to help them raise funds to purchase additional participants and coaches' boats to be able to expand and accommodate the growing numbers in their Learn to Sail program at an estimated cost of $150,000. This fundraising campaign is scheduled to be undertaken until September 2030. The purchasing of these boats will help expand their program, as I mentioned, because they've seen an ongoing wait list in their program, so they want to be able to accommodate all those that are interested. So the Yacht Club is a nonprofit society registered under the Nova Scotia Society Act. They are not a registered charity. So the Designated Community Project Fund was established as a tool by the municipality so that nonprofits that do not have charity status would be able to fundraise and issue tax receipts for donors of their capital projects. So then by motion of council, we would approve funds back to the organization after donations were made. So donors would donate to the municipality, then we would come to council and request for that funding to go back to the organizations for this specific capital project. And there is a 5% administration fee up to a maximum of $5 per donation.
Okay, would someone put this motion on the floor, please? Councillor Reinhardt.
Thanks. Can I ask a quick question first? Just because we've seen this come up a couple times with different organizations, is there ever any help from the municipality to transition some of these organizations from not-for-profit to charitable organization? Because then they could just issue the tax receipts themselves.
And to my knowledge, we haven't transitioned an organization from nonprofit to charity status. But should the organization wish to do that, that is a support that we would offer. Yeah.
I'll put the motion forward then. Okay. To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council approve establishing a designated community project fund for the Lunenburg Yacht Club pursuant to policy 048 designated community project fund to assist the club in fundraising capital funds to purchase boats that will enhance their Learn to Sail program.
And a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Vino. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Smith.
Can you just tell me why this comes forward to us? Like, do we ever turn down any nonprofits? I mean, I'm happy to hear about their program and everything, but I'm just curious as to why this doesn't run kind of independently within the municipality as the designated community project fund with, you know, stipulations about what kind of nonprofits would be eligible or not eligible.
Yep. Did you want to say something? Go right ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, as per the policy, the organization makes application to the municipality to be a part of it for projects, for specific projects. And then once they complete that project, then they would have to reapply for a new project. So the Lunenburg Yacht Club has applied, this would be their third time, I believe. And so one of them was to do some accessible upgrades leading up to the Mobility Cup. So they've fundraised, completed that project, and now they're looking to do another project. But Alex, if you have more to add, please
Well,
do.
the issue becomes, if they receive donations, they can't issue a tax receipt. The municipality is viewed as, can do that, and so this facilitates community groups in actually receiving donations and writing and issuing a tax receipt. It's quite an onerous process to get charitable status, and this is a way for community groups to take advantage of what the municipality can offer.
Yeah. There's also the issue of in order to comply with the tax rules, council has to have the discretion to use that money however you wish. So technically, the donation could come in and the municipality could use it for something else. Now, you have a policy to guide that, and you give groups assurances that you won't do that, but that's how it has to be set up. And so having the policy to set the structure is important, and then council has identified that you'll approve the policy. You have to approve the release of the funds because they're unbudgeted.
Okay.
Do we have a mover and seconder? Yeah.
Councillor Bell.
I think during that discussion, I heard the question asked if we would facilitate work, having an organization work through CRA, Industry Canada, and Finance Canada to get charitable status. I did it for this group. It took 5 years, many lawyers, much frustration, and I think that if we were to offer doing that would be a big mistake.
I think it would be more just to help groups navigate the systems, so to know what their process is to do it. Yeah, not necessarily doing it for them.
It is a very onerous process. Yep. Okay. Did we vote? No. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. All right, we will move to Active Transportation Fund Agreement, Osprey Village Sidewalk Project.
This is a housekeeping item for council's attention. So we have a sidewalk project in your capital budget. One of the funders has requested additional confirmation to ensure that council is aware of the project, supports it, and specifically they require authorization for staff to execute the agreement, which is a little unusual, but we're happy to accommodate as we're getting significant funding for the project. The budget's just over $5 million. We have just shy of $1 million from the federal and provincial ICIP programs, which are federal infrastructure programs. We also have a capital growth program from the province on top of the ICIP contribution of over $1 million. And then this is, the fund in question is the Active Transportation Fund from the federal government for $504,000. So the project has been approved. It's in your budget. We're just simply looking for a motion, two motions from council that will confirm that we want to apply, we meet the conditions, and that council authorizes staff to execute the agreement.
Okay, would someone, Councillor Bell.
To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council confirm that the municipality of the District of Lunenburg meets the requirements of the Government of Canada Active Transportation Fund for the Osprey Village Sidewalk Project. I so move.
And a seconder, please. Seconded by Councillor Oikle. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Councillor Bell, would you do the second one as well?
Thank you. To Mayor McLean Weil and members of MODL Council, I move that Municipal Council authorize the Chief Administrative Officer to execute the Active Transportation Fund Agreement and related documents on behalf of the municipality of the District of Lunenburg. I so move.
And a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Vino. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. We will move then to Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Matters and MJSB update. Councillor Oikle.
So we had a meeting on March the 25th. The MJSB was tasked with assessing how professional shared services could be provided to the LCLC. To support this work, consultants was engaged to evaluate the governance and management structure of the Lunenburg County Municipal Purpose Center. It was recommended that the MJSB and the LCMPCC boards review the materials and advise if additional information is needed. Over the past year, the board has had several discussions regarding the suitability of the MJSB's current office at 2010 Aberdeen and the potential need to relocate. The board approved the authorization for the MJSB to enter into a 5-year lease agreement for office space with the owners of the Well-Tide facility. It was recommended that the MJSB partner councils have discussions and approve the additional cost to this move. The board approved the recommendation to expand the existing waste site, the Waste Transfer Services contract with GE Environmental for an additional 2-year ending on March the 31st, 2028. The board recommended that the bank records be updated to include the new Director of Waste Management Shared Services as an authorized signing officer. All current procedures and signature requirements will remain unchanged. That is my report.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. Attended agenda briefings, check signings, my committees as assigned. This past weekend, along with several other members of council and staff, we had a booth set up at the South Shore Expo, and I want to give a shout out to our communications officer who did a fabulous job with that. And I talked to a lot of people. Some topics of interest were the e-bike loan program that will be launching in June, garbage, the community hub, our draft 2, and I lost track of the number of people who downloaded our municipal app that day. People were very excited about it, and I demonstrated it on my own phone, and they found it very easy to use. So it was well worth our attendance at that South Shore Expo. And then most recently today, we had another meeting of the Regional Growth Management Committee, which is a meeting that Municipal Council has with Town of Bridgewater to talk about opportunities for partnerships together to better serve our residents.
Thank you. My report is the last 2 weeks, I had the pleasure of attending community celebrations with both the Dayspring and District Fire Service and the La Haven District Fire Department. Dayspring marked an impressive 60th anniversary, opening their fire hall to share photos and memorabilia that reflected a long and proud history of service. The evening included recognition of several long-serving members, including Wilfred and Jean Feener. Wilfred's contribution as a firefighter and in the construction of the hall, along with Jean's long-standing involvement in the auxiliary, well known for her chocolate chip cookies, which she put in the silent auction, and I think it raised over $150. So they were really good chocolate chip cookies. Wonderful example of the family and community spirit that sustains our fire service, and they are the parents of Larry Feener, one of our engineers. La Have's banquet last Saturday night was equally meaningful, celebrating the many volunteers whose contributions strengthen this community. These events are important reminders of the vital role our volunteer fire departments play not only in public safety but in building community connections. I also attended Agriculture Day organized by our economic development staff, working in concert with the Lunenburg and Queens other economic development officers. While the keynote speaker was excellent, it highlighted an opportunity for us to more clearly define the purpose of the event and maybe be sure we are aligning speakers with the needs and interests of those attending. A recent session on governance and strategy for municipal councils hosted by Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities was one of the most valuable that I have attended. It combined practical insights from municipalities with strong facilitation by Kristen Hines and provided useful perspective for our own work as council members. We have now completed our public engagement sessions on municipal planning, concluding with a visit to Tancook Island. With beautiful weather and a warm reception from the residents, it was a productive opportunity to discuss the next steps in developing a planning strategy which reflects the unique needs of the island community. I attended an information session in West Northfield regarding uranium exploration and its potential impact on the LaHaye River watershed. With approximately 70 residents in attendance, it was a well-organized evening that provided important background on the geology of Nova Scotia, local test sites, and environmental risks. I was there to listen to residents' concerns and to represent Council's position if needed, but Councillor Burns spoke effectively about the importance of informed public discussion on issues that matter to our community. Finally, I spent time at the modal booth, which Deputy Mayor Vino has already said. I was talked out by the end of the evening, Friday night, and then again on Saturday. These events are really valuable opportunities to connect directly with residents, and I'm always amazed at how easy it is to just have a conversation with people. People want to talk, and it is a great place, as Deputy Mayor Vino said, to just talk about some of the things that we're working on. I attended the SICK Spring Celebration in Hebbville, which was, I would say, more than 100 people from our community attended that celebration. And I continue the work, as all of you do, in our community over the next number of weeks. We have an in-camera session planned, but given the time of the evening and the fact that nothing in those discussions requires decisions tonight, I would suggest that we pass a motion to defer that item, 14.1, to the April 21st meeting of Policy and Strategy. So if someone would like to make that motion, I would be happy. Councillor Oikel.
I will make that motion.
Okay, and a seconder for the motion.
We all second it.
Seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. We have no further business on the agenda. We will conclude the meeting, and the meeting is adjourned.